Alrighty, what's quacking everyone? It's Sleepy Duck here today because I'm tired, but I'm here to bring you the mini Splatlings. I've been struggling to figure out what weapons I want to make builds for, but I was like, you know what? I haven't done Splatlings yet, and I love mini Splatlings, so I'm gonna do mini Splatlings. Subscribe and follow my Twitch, or I will beat you up and take your rank points in Minecraft. These weapons are pretty fun to use. They're not the greatest weapons overall, but they're very fun to use. They have very good applications for certain maps and modes. The only map I would definitely not recommend these on is Manta because of how wide the gaps are. They can't reach over some of the gaps, sadly, so I found that this weapon isn't that good on Manta. The hard way, unfortunately. So otherwise, this weapon's pretty fantastic overall. It's pretty fun to use. So I'm gonna get into it a little bit more. So they're very applicable for all modes. I will say though, keep track of what maps you use them on because there are certain maps that just the gaps are a little bit too big and the map's a little bit too open for you to use these weapons. It's not the same as using a normal Splatling with the range. The range is shorter, so you're not going to be able to like get some of the kills you would be normally on other Splatlings. I would say some of the best maps are Inkblot and, Humpback. Those maps are very fun and easy to use these weapons on. But for game modes, all of these weapons just thrive on every single game mode. Tower, I put an asterisk on Vanilla Mini because Hammer I still feel like isn't the best on Tower because it's just an awkward special to try and use on Tower. You can, snipe people off Tower, but it's not the best because obviously they can hide behind the pillar and they're not going to die to the hammer throw. But overall, like Bubbler's good for Tower, Toxic Mist is good for covering Tower. You can use Burst Bombs on V Mini to be aggressive and apply pressure to Tower. Same thing with Zones. They both paint Zone decently well, and with Zinc Mini, you can use Bubbler to cover Zone and shoot out of your Bubbler to keep the zone in your favor, or use Toxic Mist to wall people out for zones, and then V Mini you just hammer and Burst Bomb, and you can use Hammer to paint the zone. Rainmaker, Hammer's good for popping. Zinc Mini, Toxic Mist is good for slowing down the Rainmaker, and you use Bubbler to wall off a section of where the Rainmaker's trying to walk so you can stop them, or you can use to protect your own Rainmaker. And then Clams, you can use Bubbler to either wall off enemies from approaching, or you can use it to cover yourself while scoring an enemy basket. And then obviously V Mini is just aggressive, just Burst Bomb, couple shots, easy kills. Hammer, very fun, aggressive. I got a quad last night with Hammer, and I got a sexy Inkjet snipe with Hammer as well. So Hammer's just a fun special overall. It's not the best, but it's super fun, very fun. Another nice things about these weapons is that they share very similar builds. I was really thinking of like different things to run these weapons, and for the most part, you just kind of want to run the same thing. Like very similar builds. The only thing is different is for V Mini, but I'll go over that a little later. But overall, you just kind of want to run the same things, just run speed, some utilities, and this is what I kind of started off building first. I did add some other builds. Some people do run LDE. If you're gonna play aggressive V Mini, you could run QR as well, just like QR comeback for V Mini. But otherwise, like for the most part, you just kind of want to run this. Obviously put on any subs or specials that you feel like help benefit you the most as a player. Obviously, it's personal preference, but this is just what I recommend overall and like how I view the weapon. So basically just run speed and utilities, and then I put ink recovery on here. Or if you look at it, I swapped out the 2 extra subs of run speed and I put some intensify action. It does help because the jump shot spread goes from 8 degrees to 6 degrees, so that's very useful with just 2 subs, so that's very useful as well. Or you can swap it out for special saver. Obviously it saves that, it goes down from 50 to 35%, or special charge up, which for V Mini goes from 190 to 180, and then for Zinc Mini it's 200 to 119. And then I did also put the run speed conversions for if you're running the extra 2 subs of run speed, then it's on the bottom, and I marked it with the little run speed icon. And then also the top is without it, with if you're running intensify or special saver or special charge up. So I gave it little markers for that as well. But I was struggling to figure out what what would be more important, special charge up or special saver. I feel like both. It depends on personal preference for the most part, how I felt. I was really like looking at it and trying to like get a feel for it. It's definitely personal preference. If you feel like you're not dying as much and you just want your special up faster, then go for special charge up. But if you feel like you're being a little bit more aggressive and dying a little bit more, then special saver might be for you, but it's personal preference. Now, again, you could run LDE on this as well. LDE is a little bit more applicable to V-Mini as you get that Ink Saver sub when it's procced, and it's still useful for a miss as well, so honestly, it's good for both. But miss doesn't pain, obviously, unlike Burst Bomb, so there's that. But honestly, the LDE with the Ink Saver main, Ink Recovery, and the Ink Sub Saver main, all that stuff, so good. It's very nice. So you can run some LDE with utilities, and then obviously if you want some ink recovery, if you want more swim speed, you can do that. And if you're running it with stealth jump as well, you can put that in there. And if you're running it with stealth jump, you're obviously jumping in a lot, so I recommend some more subs of QSJ. But if you're not jumping in a lot and you just want more mobility, then swim speed obviously is helpful as well. So there's that. And I also put, I marked with the swim speed, with the main of swim speed and the sub of swim speed, marked that right below the builds, and then without it, it's unmarked. And then the run speed obviously stays the same if you just run the whole like pure of run speed as well. And then obviously I marked the special charge up as well, or you could run special saver as well. That is an option, and again, it's up to personal preference, so whatever you feel. This is just some recommendations, but LD is very nice on these weapons. I don't use it that much personally because I prefer the more run speed. However, it is viable and it's pretty easy to use. Now, I thought about this for a minute, and I think Thermal Ink could be useful on this weapon. Not sure how useful, I guess it really depends on your playstyle. If you're trying to play on a more supportive playstyle, you can absolutely do that. But I feel like Thermal Ink definitely can be good on this weapon for sure. If you're playing back and you're just able to mark some people, just kind of like applying some added help to your slayers to mark enemies. But again, Zinc Mini isn't like, oh, it has massive range or anything on this weapon. But however, for certain maps, if you're able to get it, you can. If you're playing on Humpback and you're just chilling in the back behind one of the walls or something, and you're shooting over the walls and stuff, you can definitely hit some people and mark them with Thermal Ink. If you're, just playing on like Mahi or something and you're able to get away from a little skirmish, then, obviously that's going to be good as well. Also, if you just saw that hammer snipe, that was sick. That was all me, baby. I'm him. Anyways, Thermal Ink is just pretty fun. I would say I used it a little bit. It was pretty fun to use. I'm not sure how useful it is though, but it does definitely seem like it could be helpful if you're playing a more supportive role and just like hanging back and just marking people. Now, this is what I was talking about for V-Mini, as you're not really going to be running sub power up and Ink Saver sub on Zinc Mini, but for V-Mini, you can absolutely do that with the Burst Bomb. Obviously, you want the sub power up to extend your Burst Bomb range and sub saver to help with it as well. You could also do it on Zinc Mini, but not really recommended. However, you can definitely, run it on V-Mini, which is very viable for the Burst Bombs and adding a little bit more oomph to your sub weapon. So, this is pretty viable for V-Mini. And then I just want to go over some like honorable mention builds that I thought of. I saw some people running Haunt. Granted, not a lot, but you can run Haunt as well if you're playing super aggressive. You maybe want to run some QR, or you can pair it with Comeback as well. I also put, just straight up Comeback. And obviously, like, these are just placeholders. Obviously, I would probably recommend a little bit more QR if you're going this hard with the weapon. But these are some abilities you can definitely, mix and match. Object Shredder as well, if you're playing against, Bubblers, or you're on Rainmaker and you're playing Zinc Mini on Rainmaker, that helps. I would definitely use V-Mini's Hammer to break the Rainmaker shield. Also, Crab Tank, if you're fighting against a Crab Tank, that helps. So basically, Object Shredder, pretty decent as well. And then I also see people running like a main of Special Charge to just get their special up faster. So you can mix and match these abilities and, figure out what you feel comfortable with. And obviously, if you're playing aggressive, run some QR. Or, if you want more swim speed, run some swim speed. Run speed is definitely something that's always like kind of been ran on Splatlings. It helps with the walking and shooting ability as well, so that's kind of why you run speed. But if you want to run some more swim speed, you can. But these are just my recommendations. It's just, overall, like, hey, think about these main abilities, Haunt, Object Shredder, Comeback, Special Charge, maybe dabble with them if it fits your playstyle. And that's gonna do it for the minis. These were just my opinions, my recommendations, just going over, my personal thoughts on different builds that you can run for these weapons and, different play styles that you can play if you want to play more passive, more aggressive. And that's why I feel like these weapons are super fun to use, because they're just so versatile. You can play them super aggressive, or you can play them passive, or you can play somewhere in between, and it's just so nice and they're just so fun. So I'm glad we have the minis. I can't wait for, if they don't bring back Kensa mini, maybe a Naki mini, or if they bring back mini reforged or whatever the one was from Splatoon 1. But weapons are super fun, they're fantastic. I highly recommend just messing around with these weapons, some builds, figure it out for yourself. But I'll see you in the next one. Catch you later. Peace.